cannot perceive change when change creeps along beside us. Like nature, we adapted over eons, taking turns in each other's footsteps. The Industrial Revolution, sparked by coal, left black streaks in cores of Arctic snow. Our climate change began 200 years ago with coal factories spewing CO2 pollution. As the last mountain glaciers melt, our rivers rise. We think it's caused by rain. We've misread the signs. If no snow falls to replace that essential ice, both rivers and our lives will soon run dry. Heat domes, pressure cook oceans and our land. The vast atmospheric rivers kidnap our rains, and snow, and soil microbes die. Life-giving land turns to sand, plunging us into drought, and then heat, and then flames. At what pace change until we understand? How many more forest fires gobbling up towns? How many more droughts can we withstand before we all know that something's wrong? Vanished in just 50 years, 3 billion birds, with a B. With their habitats paved, few can adapt. The warnings of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, unheard. Songbirds are gone from our forests and backyards. We drive our gas-fed SUVs to shop. The windshields pristine, remain bug-free. Poisons ensure perfect corporate crops. Nature's demise requires our complicity. Thank you. Okay, I worked a lot on that one. Now you're going to have to work. Okay, this is, sometimes I go on the site which is called Rattle, and I would recommend that for all of you poets. Just go to rattle.ca. Pardon me. Rattle.com. It's not Canada. Rattle.com. I think they're out of Washington. And they will help you to refine your poems. You send them in, and they have workshops online and so on. And often, about once a week, they'll give you a line, something to write about. And the past, I think it was 2 weeks ago, the thing to write about was your favorite shape. And my favorite shape is the rhombus. Now, a rhombus is basically a square. It's got 4 equal sides. You know, it's a parallelogram. But it can also be squashed. And so I talk about that. And this poem was supposed to also, so your favorite shape, but then in the pontoon form. So a pontoon is where you have the first and third lines of a quartet, of a 4-line poem, and then the second and fourth lines of the first stanza become the first and third of the next, and so on. So it sounds like it's a snowball or avalanche going downhill, gathering steam. And the very last line is the same as the first. So if you think you're hearing things again, you are, I promise you. Okay. A rhombus is basically a squat square that's squished until the corners bled. When someone sat upon it like a chair, then gasped, and from the room they fled. When squished until the corners bled, 2 right angles became openly obtuse, then gasped, and from the room they fled, as 2 acutes angled to be abstruse. 2 right angles became openly obtuse. They never concurred with rigid social norms, like 2 acutes angling to be abstruse. Their nature was only to disconform. Refusing to concur with rigid social norms and become a static diamond was unfair. Their nature was only to disconform. A rhombus is basically a squat square. Okay, we're kind of back to the beginning now. I'm having a little bit of a hard time with what's going on in the world. So between Alberta and the U.S., you know, between Alberta and the U.S., some days I feel my hair's on fire. So instead, I go and write a poem. She said she'd fix our health care and shorten lengthy queues. Instead, her changes brought disaster when increased wait times ensued. She pledged a moratorium. There'd be no new mining coal. But Northback rallies led her to retribution. She revoked her promised goal. She says it's in her mandate to steal our hard-earned CPP. She wants to fund Alberta as her state, where governor she wants to be. She tried to carve Alberta's oil from tariffs threatened by Trump. He dismissed her at Mar-a-Lago because he's still just a grump. Oh, can you hear me okay? Slavishly, she craves his adoration. As his simple sycophant, she's bold, but trembled at his inauguration from sitting too long out in the cold. She wants to sit on Daddy's knee and have him massage away her pain. But bullies never hear their victim's plea. Get ready, 'cause he's in charge again. Thank you, thank you.
'Twas a month after Christmas when Mom passed away. Her hell is over. There's not much to say. She suffered too long. She slowly decayed. Her mind was taken, a gradual fade. It went on for years, 2 decades in fact, a third of her life, a painful impact. 'Cause when we were young, she told us her fears. She watched her mother with similar tears. Mom was the youngest of all her siblings, but first to show signs. Dementia's sting. She often told us, if I get that way, please pull out the plug. Not wanting those days. But with this disease, there's no plug, you see. There's no laws to help. She couldn't be free. Her mind a prison, her thoughts locked away. Her talents declined, her life to decay. Quality of life is important to see, far more important than longevity. And she knew this fact, but couldn't escape. She was well cared for, a terrible fate. Spoonful by spoonful, she was kept fed. Mouthful by mouthful, she laid in her bed. She couldn't sit up, she couldn't say words. She couldn't do much. A life lived 2/3. Her nightmare came true, her mind gone too soon. Her body lay there, kept fed in her room. Her pain is over, the suffering gone. She's no longer here, she has now passed on. And with the grieving a sigh of relief, time has come for her and bit down its teeth. I will remember the times that were glad, your caring embrace and the love that you had. I love you, Mother, I say as I cry. I know you're at peace. I love you. Goodbye. In memory of my mother, Gwen Boogaart, she lived from July 27th, 1957 to January 24th, 2024. The next poem I'm going to read, I also have read once before, but I decided I'll read it again. I called it Yin and Yang. I wrote it on April 25th last year. Life is full of joy and sorrow. Life is looking towards tomorrow. Life is reviewing things from our past. Life is always full of contrast. Beauty is seen in so many ways. Beauty is something that's hard to convey. Beauty is searching the darkness for light. Beauty is knowing your own inner might. Grief is a feeling exposed by loss. Grief is a feeling that others will toss. Grief is a feeling many hide, push, and shove. Grief is a feeling, a pure expression of love. Love is a joy you bring into your home. Love is your happiness internally known. Love is a feeling that you can never forget. Love is a feeling that can lead to regret. Love is intense, feeling deep affection. Grief is the tears and screams of expression. Beauty can be seen in both love and grief. Life shows truth, even with disbelief. Thank you. I'm going to read one more. I wrote this on Monday. I haven't given it a title yet. I had a dream where I saw my wife again. The details were odd and a little insane. It made perfect sense while I was asleep. It made no sense, except for my suite. The setting, a mixture of scenes from our life, filled with friends of me and my wife. And as I moved through, I found her there. I stopped so a hug and a kiss could be shared. This felt so real. It was like she was here. I felt her touch and warmth so near. Her loving embrace held me so tight. This was a moment that felt so right. Then she looked at me, and 5 words she said. These 5 words are now stuck in my head. For when I awoke, I knew she was gone. The fact that she died still feels so wrong. But my dream was so vivid, her words so clear, at least the parts where she was so near. She had a message to deliver, you see. She said, "Thank you for loving me." Thank you.
I have one poem today. It's a little bit sad. It's also, I haven't edited it yet, so it might not be great yet, but here we go. Nobody tells you about the nights your whole body shakes, your mind engulfed in terror and regret. The nights you relive each moment slowly, sharp claws raking their way across your skin. The nights you question whether you were truly strong enough to overcome. Maybe you should not have gotten out. Maybe it wasn't as bad as it seemed. Maybe you could have endured. But you know you had to leave for your own survival. But these nights you question it. The cost of survival, sneers of self-loathing in the mirror, fistfuls of hair scattered across the floor, sunken eyes robbed of all beauty and youth, paralysis of mind and body. Unable to escape the images flashing across your mind, unable to be touched without shattering to pieces, these nights you are left clawing at your own skin and gasping for air. Nobody tells you you'll go through it alone, that you'll have to plaster a smile on your face each day, but fall apart each night. Nobody tells you nights like this are the good ones. The nights where you do sleep are worse. Nights plagued by nightmares you can't escape. At least while you're awake, you can remind yourself you're safe. That you can't breathe, but at least it's your own hands wrapped around your throat. You thought survival would be easy once you got out. Nobody tells you each moment since would be a battle, and that you'd be going in wounded with no weapons and no armor. Nobody tells you anything. And then there's an epilogue. I will live. Even if the only reason is to not let you win, I will live and I will remain kind. Thank you.
Hello. I've got 2 poems to read tonight. The first is called Prairie Home. I grew up on a farm in the prairies, and when I was a child, I would often roam around our land and just hang out. And going home or back to the farm is a place where there's a space where I can reflect and kind of ground myself. So this poem is about that. Prairie Home. Tufted waves not in agreeance as I pass through familiar scent carried on breeze, as to say I know you as you know me. Longing for childlike days, innocent and carefree, muddied and tanned, running on bare feet. Wandering and pondering on yellow freckled hills, pillowy mounds invite afternoon slumber, closer inspection revealing robust Pillowy mounds invite afternoon slumber, closer inspection revealing robust infestation. Oceanic blades envelop crested chasms. These infant grasses are wise, returning year after year with renewed vigor. They always look the same on my return, but I have always changed. I am too old now to become intentionally lost in this familiar earth from where I come. I know one day I will return to. Never knowing when the last time is the last time, as one often doesn't, I will inevitably be inaugurated, flesh and vitality to damp earth, the mutter of the wind, and the reclamation of the never-ending energy of the universe. I have seen my prairie home through all my sets of eyes. It is a constant as I evolve, experience, and live all of my lives. For now, I allow a practical amount of roaming, a humble reminder of all beginnings and ends, the short-lived chapters of the world around us, and the fleeting mortality of all life. Second poem does not need explanation. It's called Psilocybin. It's kind of like a fun one. A long neck and a little cap. My pinky-sized tour guide without compass or map. Repugnant taste looms in mouth. I forcefully swallow to move this mass south. Sitting atop my hallucinogenic throne, gradients of yellow, orange, and green tones. Projection reels roll in my head, contemplation of retiring to bed. Everything I think, I already think I know, observing observations amidst a euphoric glow. Acrylic daisies morph into bloom, and then I aimlessly wander from room to room. Juvenile nostalgia in my cerebral matter, encephalon occupied with happy little chatter. I ask my docent to show me something new. He responds, everything you see is really up to you. I've met myself on these paths before, and I've thought these thoughts while laying on my bedroom floor. Anticipation of spiritual renew, calmly set down for a more pragmatic view. A resignation to a Rolodex door, unlike my thoughts, I don't think that was there before. On and on, my legs feel like they need to run, but then practicality wins over, and I remind myself this is just for fun. Final submission to fun guy, a day's end flutter of my eye. Dreaming on the daydreamy trip, a few mere hours, only a blip. Maybe I'll see that guide again, my little escort psilocybin. Thank you.
All right, so I've never actually read my poems before, so this will be a new experience. So this poem I wrote 2 years ago. It's called Past Emotions Like Old Friends, and it's kind of about emotions that I thought I'd got over, but I did not. All right. It's been a long time, my old friend. I never expected to see you again, not after a decade of violence and unbearably suffering in silence. My old friend, you were always there in times of need. You offered relief with quick distraction, and for years you were my sole attraction. Until I noticed the cost of your friendship was more than I could bear. To leave you then, I could not dare. You, my friend, made me feel things I never could. Even though deep down I knew I should, I did not leave your thorny embrace. There were things alone I could not face, and taking you by the hand, I brought you with me. And from that moment on, I was no longer free. Every moment I spend with you, my heart races. You led me to the darkest of places. Hand in hand, you led me to a valley of sorrow. With you, I no longer cared about tomorrow. It was obvious, my friend. I had fallen in love. But this is where our love story ends, to put it all behind me once again and let our toxic relationship wash away with the rain. My old friend, let's not meet again. Thank you.
Good evening. And unfortunately, Jolene will be back in her seat in a moment, but I'll tell you, the title of my poem needs her to be in her seat. So I will just perhaps introduce this by saying, as writers, we all know that we need those prompts for us. And at our last event, Jolene had an amazing prompt that flooded me with so many memories that I could curse her. I stayed up all night and wrote. It was just amazing. And last week, it prompted me yet again. So I'm going to start this, and when she gets here, she'll know, and there's something at her seat that she will know exactly what this is all about. Jolene. And this poem is called Jolene's Chocolate-Covered Wisdom. Oh, Jolene, muse of the shriveled grape, that could have been wine, lush and agape. Yet there it lies, a wrinkled thing, saved by chocolate, crowned a king. You've opened my mind to the dried and the weird, to fruits and foods that we've mocked and feared. Take the date, sticky like an old love letter, dip it in cocoa, and now it's better. Of apricots, leathery, tough to chew, dark chocolate whispers, I'll fix you. The cherry, a syrupy, candied back, finds redemption in a cocoa shellac. Now, let's not forget orange peel so bitter that a swipe of chocolate makes it glitter. Even ginger, fiery and sharp as sin, becomes a sweet with chocolate skin. But Jolene, why? Why stop at fruits alone? The cricket waits. His crunch unknown, a protein powerhouse, trendy and lean, drizzled in chocolate. It's fit for a queen. To heck with diets, carbs, and macros. Let's coat the world in chocolate halos. From bugs to bananas, raisins to nuts, even kale chips if you've got the guts. So raise a toast to life's odd delights, to chocolate-covered wrongs turned right. And when the day's done, here's my decree. Pass me a chocolate-dipped book and a cup of tea. Thank you. So sometimes it's really good to get those prompts. And so after you eat all those chocolate things, it came to mind, as we all know how things go, and this one is called Wintertime at the Gym. They called it an offer that I couldn't refuse. 5 months, free. Oh, training included. No charge to learn the art of pushing myself. Well, now I'm no gym rat. Don't ask me the names of the machines or what to do when faced with a row of treadmills that look like medieval torture devices with digital screens. But I thought, why not? A little movement wouldn't hurt. So there I was, learning the ropes. The trainer said, grip the main bar firmly between both hands. Plant your feet, shoulder width apart. Bend at the waist. Push forward. Lift up. 2 steps forward. Repeat. Feel the burn in your back, your core, your thighs. I nodded, sweat forming just from the explanation. This is what gym people do. This is how they chisel themselves from marble or something like that. I followed the instructions, gritting my teeth, muscles straining, heart pounding like a drum. Lift, step, repeat. Lift, step, repeat. I could feel myself becoming stronger, fitter, unstoppable. What's this machine called? I gasped out loud, panting as I leaned on the bar, grinning, fingers drumming. Dumbbell, I thought. It's an Alberta shovel. Thank you.
I wanted to explain a little bit that over the holidays I found out a little bit of bad news. Many of you know that I deal with fibromyalgia and arthritis, and but I've been having troubles with my shoulders. Long story short, I'm waiting now 5 to 9 months for 2 complete shoulder replacements. One will happen first, and then 6 months later, the other one. I also got the news that my doctor is closing his practice at the end of March of this year. So I will now be needing surgery and have a number of ongoing things that need to be dealt with, and I will not have a family doctor. So the reason I'm saying that is that if any of you are a new physician in town here tonight, please come up and talk to me afterwards. And the same thing, if any of you know of any family doctors in town that are willing to take a new patient. I'm a delightful patient to have, so anyway. Wrote 3 poems recently. Look again. It's been a painful holiday. No, not emotionally, thank goodness. Been there, done that. But dear body is struggling now, grinding bone on bone in one shoulder, and in the other shoulder, the bone is disintegrating. It's only half there now. Ache in back, in legs, most everywhere. It used to be that even if it hurt, I could choose to move. I could just grit my teeth and get her done. But not these days. I'm not used to asking for help, and I don't like it one bit. What if whoever I ask says no or can't do it? How will I survive? You know, I'm of the generation of women who planned and worked so hard to never be like our mothers, just one man away from welfare. And after all that work, here I am, one man away from welfare. And look again. That man just stopped by my study with an iced glass of Coke Zero, my favorite. Asked if there was anything he could get for me before he left for the gym. He hears in the morning when I get out of bed and shows up to help me get my clothes over my bum shoulder. And tonight, he will help me get those same clothes over that same pain-filled shoulder. And then he'll get the covers on our bed just right. In the midst of pain, I have so much to be grateful for. I've just got to remember, look again. Thank you. I've got a theme here going tonight of sort of sad, sort of hopeful. Take the next step. How hard it is to turn to the light when there's no light to be found. Gray day, gray life, gray body, gray hair, the colors all drained out. Where is the green? Not until next spring. What about blue? Not for a few days. Same for yellow, no sun, at least for a while. Orange, a few dots of clementines in the fruit bowl, just a few small dots of color. Red, haven't seen any sunsets lately, but also no blood spilt either. Purple, I wrap around me in my comforting sweater, and my watercolor paints await me here at my desk. Rumi has said that if we cannot find the light, perhaps we should look around to discover that we are the light. And that's a big ask today. But maybe, just maybe I can mix pigment with water, create colors on paper, push paint around until I'm pleased. How hard it is, though, to turn to the light when there's no light to be found. Yet, let me grab what is around me and see what I can create. How hard can that be? I'll take the next step. Thank you. And my last one, I wrote this today. I'd planned to read that poem tonight, you know, the one that I wrote, The snarky political one where I excoriate the old patriarchal fools, a pile of them now in power, where I tell them to prepare to meet their Maker, to atone for all their sins. But I've seen a lot of the energy like that these days, where we unite in cynicism and a little hate, but that, oh yeah, response is short-lived nourishment, like candy when you're really hungry and need real food. So start with that. Feed yourself well. Step back, calm down, chop vegetables and make soup. Listen to your music, drink your elixirs, invite your friends. Build your strength and nourish each other. Don't scare yourself and don't scare each other. Don't multiply the chaos, the fear, the despair, because people who are full of fear, despair, and chaos are easily controlled and easily divided against each other. Resist. Get strong. Express yourself well. We're the poets. Tell us your truths. Tell us your fear. Express the despair in focused, strategic ways. We will listen, and we will witness. And as we witness, we will strengthen your spirit, and you will strengthen us. We can spread calm, community, and respect. Calm souls can think, can plan, can build new things. Calm souls can focus, teach others, care for the next generation. Calm souls can build coalitions, change laws, and bring down abusers. Here we can tell our truths and our dreams. We can become strong. And we will be with you. Thank you.
Hello. So now, thank you, Shelley, for that, the lovely chocolate-covered raisins. Now I feel, in November I read my very short poem about how I feel about raisins, and maybe I might run through that one more time. I hadn't planned on it, but for reference. There may be some language in this one. So raisins are not my favorite. There's not many foods I despise, but raisins are one of them. This is how I feel about raisins. Raisins, old, sad, dried up fruit, carcasses of their once delicious past, dessert's saddest, most dismal addition, dull, chewy raisins. Side note, I will not be eating any Christmas baking filled with the devil's candy, Satan's crack, Lucifer's handkerchief, Lilith's smack. A bonfire should be built blazing, incinerating all of those taste bud cringing withered raisins. I retract all ill notions of raisins if they're covered in chocolate. These are desirable. And now I have a bag of chocolate covered raisins. This was, I have a new song that I've been working on, but I think I'll read that one next month. It's there, it's in my mind, but I'm gonna save it till next month. This one is a prompt from poetry a little while ago, quite a while ago, about what poetry means to me. So I really like this one. It's a short one, but sweet. Poetry. For me, poetry has always been a, here we go, one more time. Poetry. For me, poetry has always been a release, a way to heal and deal with the most heartbreaking moments, or a way to articulate deep realizations, a channel to express wonder and awe, or a place to fixate your mind when the whole world starts spinning faster, a focal point for wisdom and knowledge, the grand takeaway sketched out in letters displayed to convey a deep emotion, a revealed truth, or a jestful outlook. A slanted, alternate angle that somehow soothes my soul with every read when I'm proud of my message, and my thoughts don't dabble on the way it shall be received. Composed from that oh so crucial purity, sincerity, I have the power to take darkness and somehow transform the black, soak it out into stanza, pour the pain or pleasure out from the pages, and truly understand my perspective. Painting that picture, cultivating your mind, thoughts stream out and cadence aligns. The message, the rhymes, and the flow work in synchrony. This ability to give openness, coping mechanisms, and cognition the master key. That's what poetry means to me. Thank you.
And this one's a song I wrote, well, it's a song I wrote last August, not this past August 30th, but the one before. Oh, and it's a song about balance. Let's see. What did I say about it? I had a little write-up about it. So it's called moonquakes. There's actually 4 types of moonquakes. Similar to earthquakes, moonquakes occur every day on the moon. There's thermal moonquakes that occur when the moon's crust expands and contracts due to temperature changes from the day to night. I think it goes from something like 120 degrees above Celsius to like 130 below. Meteorite moonquakes are very rare, but they happen. Shallow moonquakes are the most intense and originate near the moon's surface, and they're caused due to the moon's crust or due to the moon's cooling and contraction. And deep moonquakes occur 700 kilometers under the moon's surface and are linked to the tidal stresses from the Earth's gravitational pull. So this is a song about balance and how other things affect us, and we affect other things around us in some ways. Okay. Vividly shaded horizons clawing at the encroaching dusk. Light's last great pull. One more time here. Let's see. I usually sing this, so it's a little weird to speak it. Okay. I've never done that at poetry before. Okay. Vividly shaded horizons clawing at the encroaching dusk. Light's last great spill into the coming shadows. Soon we are thrust into darkness. This escape takes shape. The sun's reflection lights up the night. Under the stark curtains drape mysteries at its height. Landscapes riddled and could have been take their grand state again and again. Defying definition, left lingering in the realm of interpretation, turning focus from this vast view's abyss within. Sin's discipline holding fast, a stripped down way to say it, glass raised to this blast from the past. Tried true and sometimes spiraling, here's 2 times in tranquil trance, a refrain for reminding, collect the years as they seek steady past. This owl can find her balance, monster leaves the trees, a powerful wind breaks the yin and the yang between the night and day, sun rays and starry skies, the tidal pull and moonquakes. This owl can find her balance, monster leaves the trees, powerful wind breaks the yin and the yang between the night and day, sun rays and starry skies, the tidal pull and moonquakes. Amid the light that defines me, I'll go gently into the day. No need for energy to deflate so early after I awake. Lap up this virtuous reminder. Variation is a zest for my taste, and the sequence of events steers out the stories of the direction my life takes. This owl can find a balance, monster leaves the trees, a powerful wind breaks the yin and the yang between the night and day, sun rays and starry skies, the tidal pull and moonquakes. This owl can find a balance, monster leaves the trees, powerful wind breaks the yin and the yang between the night and day, sun rays and starry skies, the tidal pull and moonquakes. Thank you. Usually I have chords and a band to go with that. Thank you.
So here we are. This one's called Cold Weather Coming. Cold weather's coming, and it's already here. Snow is falling on our heads, but we're filled with cheer. Lights are shining on us, in our hearts we're bold, going through the motions, doing what we're told. I can face the winter, it's not too intense. Will the weather do me in? I don't think it can. Got a new snow shovel, push away the snow. See how things are going, how they have to go. Waiting for the summer, when it will arrive. Waiting for the heat so that I can start to thrive. But first we face the chilling, the drama and the cold. First we have to reach inside, remember what we know. I have never felt it, the meaning of the pain. The cold weather on your back, it's driving you insane. I have a place to weather the beating of the storm, to hide away there inside where it is safe and warm. I don't have to be frozen, I don't have to be cold. I don't have to face the streets, be living on the road. All the time I take it, remember who I am. Remember to be thankful for standing where I stand. Glowing in the morning for yet another day. Happy to get out of bed and going on my way. Let us turn the corner, we're going on the rounds. We're gonna make it through the night, no matter how it sounds. All right, this one's called In the Hot Zone. All the bombs are falling now, falling overhead. Am I gonna make it out, or will I soon be dead? Sitting in my basement and hearing all the blasts, waiting to be crushed inside, will it happen fast? All my neighbors live in fear, waiting for the day. When will peace be coming back? Will we get away? I'm not scared, not really now. I am used to risk. Life is always full of chance, and then it comes to this. All the people there in charge, do they really care? What does it matter to them? What have they to bear? I am going to buy a gun, not that it will help. Some things you cannot avoid, like there is something else. But my hope is there inside, a candle and a flame. Something deep that keeps me on, whatever comes my way. Let the living mourn the dead as we go on our way. As the line begins to blur and living goes away. Let our brains be full of joy if we are hanging on. Terror must be thrust aside, just watch the setting sun. If I just was stronger now, maybe I could see. Maybe I could find a way, a better way to be. But the truth is something else. Rivers gotta run. Tears are falling down my face. My God, what have they done? All the days will pass away. The lightning has to strike. Sand is falling through a glass. I wonder what it's like. Thanks.
So this is a retelling of a really old myth called Inanna and the God of Wisdom. Okay. Who first rose when the sun rose over two rivers to trick the other for an exchange of many gifts? Was it old Enki who pacified Inanna, fanning her with so much exaltation that her tricky ways would be forever satiated, and by a shepherd sow the yellow wheat? Or did Inanna nurse Enki red with so much booze that he babbled on and spilled like many cups the very seeds of young Jerusalem, whereat the heavy laws that the many sons and daughters of earth, tilled and untilled didst disperse, were made, the flare of Solon, Hammurabi, and the red light of Shamhat's womb? The first way, which is told less, will be our explanation, in which circumstance we must regard the trickster Enki as at least a little jealous in his observations when from Eridu he had ventured north, and in the wilderness encountered his highest of all treasures, Inanna, who at that time was only a young woman by the shade of her mother Ningal's tree. I am Inanna, sang she, in the warm red cedar forest, and when I placed my gentle foot upon the ground, thereupon the very spirits of the earth encountered death. And when I clap my tender hand upon the craggy rock, the very moon is driven envious. And from my back shall wings of mighty swans rise up just like my breasts, and spread as iris petals do. Great Anshar, Kishar, partake ye both to humble down and peck my arse. The very wind shall blow along my chosen course. I am what legs hold firm and arms tender. My genitals are life-giving, and my human face casts light wherever I set my eyes. So it is, said Enki, young Inanna, who dances under Ningal's tree, even mighty On himself, has told me that the earth's beauty emanates from you. How did you manage to pull it off? Inanna was perplexed, and she frowned at Enki and took two hands, swatting them in his direction, saying, "If the day or night sky catches wise Inanna falling prey to Enki's wicked lying ways, then I'll cry a third river under Brother Utu's shining rays and swat at my genitals, saying, 'Take me back to death, Ereshigal, not another moment on this ugly earth.'" Enki nodded and said, "Inanna, you are so wise. It seems your mind is shaped as well as your gentle hips. My aim is to misguide you, so trust me not. But never go to death without first living out your life. For no one else is trusted with your heaven's eyes and your no-saying voice. Your subtlety is sexy, and there are rare gifts you would squander in the desert. Don't be sour when my tricky ways impress themselves upon you or on your family. It's not even personal. Your enemies will get it worse from me, for I know whose favor will be most rewarded." With a wink, Enki sat in front of Inanna, who lifted up her foot and kicked him in the head. "Bastard," she spat, "you just want my beautiful hips for yourself. You want these shining eyes of mine, my no-saying lips and gentle arms and legs, old man. I'll fetch you a stick for the wolves and a rock for the scorpions if you're looking for a gift." Enki rubbed his red cheek and he smiled. "I want to give you something, daughter of Ningal, but if you do not want or need it, I'll pass you by and give it to someone who wants it more." Inanna scoffed. "I do not have a child's ears, you bluff. However, what is your gift? I am only curious." Enki showed her the staff of doing and redoing. He showed her the well-made harp, which plays heaven's music when you pluck its strings. "I will make you queen of heaven and earth," said Enki. "All that was written or sung will be at your fingertips, and the sun will not set until you nod your head. Thus, I will tame you." Inanna was quiet. Thank you.
You stayed till the bitter end, I thank you. I've had a new direction in my life that includes a little bit more crush, I guess. And he's sitting right there. You're welcome. Is sweetheart all I can call you? Because I've thought of a few more, like fruity smooth cupcake, and minty McMuffin man, and my little blooming poochiekins, my 4-poster creaky bed frame, my sandy shoe shuffle, my flossy, flirtatious froglet, my everything. Will you be my gasoline tank, my ergonomic pillow, my catalytic converter, my mass spectrometer, my parabolic mirror? I fancy all of your all-you-can-eat boxcar rib cage. You can despise these titles or call them adorable. Reject these labels all you want. The truth sounds out through each and every name. Mysterious Martian, Maltese cuisine, wild prairie grass fire, heat-infused hair product, star-crossed lover, and planet-aligned guru, orthotic accompaniment, spin cycle impediment, the fine line instructions on the Tide Pod wrapper. Do not ingest on an empty stomach. The protein pack of merriment, the blush of your embarrassment, the candied cherry wrapped in a napkin and stuffed into a pocket. To transfer from ice cream hilltop to tooth-aching popsicle. But what is a food metaphor without consumption? I'll savor every morsel. You are my plainclothes secret agent, portrait of rotisserie refinement, pedestal hopping, solar flare thieving, funeral crashing, immortal carbon-based, sentient, bootleg husband. You're welcome. And this one is called A Waste of Time in 3 parts. Part 1. My ex-husband was building our dream home on land that wasn't his, my inheritance, a quarter section with a fallow triangle where the pivot didn't reach. Among the weeds, he poured a concrete pad. He had the walls up, talked up his design the whole family would love, as if he could read our minds. Yet he was shook when I left him, and the dream house sits fallow in a triangle of weeds that the pivot can't reach on my inherited land. The walls collapse, the brand new windows never installed, and could have been salvaged for a refund. So sorry, darling, if you can't know my soul and you can't own your own. We are justified in thinking it was a complete waste of time. Part 2. My daughter borrowed the truck, a vehicle not hers, inherited from my ancestors, an old Ford 100, seen many years as a homesteading farmhand, but she needed a ride to a party. The truck must have been relieved to be used so frivolously, and I let her take it since all the dignified work was done. But her inexperience tipped that truck into a lake, and she came crying back to me to save it. I packed up the tractor, the bus, the tow truck, the ancestors, and rushed to the lake to salvage the truck like maybe I could salvage my daughter. And as it turns out, I could. I didn't even need any tools or tows, merely my bare hands, for the truck of my ancestors was light as a feather. I saved it from drowning in an instant. So sorry, darling, if you can't know my strength and you can't know your own. We are justified in thinking it was a complete waste of time. Part 3. And what about you, my love? Will we build a house together? Will the foundation be borrowed or salvaged or stable? Will you put the family truck to good use or drive it into a lake and come back crying to be saved? So sorry, darling, if you can't know my trauma and you can't know your own. We are justified in thinking time doesn't matter. It isn't time that we can count on. Time was never ours to begin with. Only distance matters in the end. Only distance, or the lack thereof. Thank you.